The SSR Plus era is coming much sooner than expected, which will drastically change up the overall meta on this game. This video will be going over how to obtain these brand new versions of characters, as well as who you should be saving your black tickets for when the time comes. So let's get into it. SSR Plus are the second form of existing SSR units who are overstacked with many amazing buffs compared to what their base forms are currently capable of, which involves a brand new passive awakening skill. The main way of obtaining such new characters are via the banner summons that are currently used by black tickets. But there will be other ways you can get such units in the future, such as in Awaken Wheels, limited time events, and character reruns in the hero backup stick. In order to obtain these upgraded forms, you will need to acquire the base of the character, 4 evolution stones from their respective faction, and 1 awakening stone for their respective character. How this new banner summon system works is that the base unit will be available and have its pull rate increased up to 80% on the first SSR pulled, which is then increased to a 100% chance if the second SSR is pulled, so you are guaranteed the base unit within the first 2 SSR units pulled. These rates are so much better than the regular LSSR summoning system that we have currently, so if you're missing the base unit as of now, then you can wait until their SSR Plus banner comes out, so you are no rush in pulling them as they will be much more easier to obtain in the future. How you obtain these evolution and awakening stones is also through the summoning banner, but there is a pity system where you are guaranteed to get either stone after 80 pulls. The odds for getting an evolution stone to an awakening stone is a 66 to a 33% chance respectively, so you will be normally getting an evolution stone most of the time. If you do manage to pull either stone before 80 pulls, the pity counter will reset back to 0, which has a 2% chance of happening. So for example, if you manage to get an evolution stone in 40 pulls, then the pity counter will reset back to 0 and you can use 120 tickets to pull another stone, instead of the max 160 tickets for 2 stones. This banner also has your regular event pity system, where you get 3 evolution stones after 50, 120, and 180 pulls. And you also get 1 awakening stone on 180 pulls. You will not be able to pity the base character after 180 pulls, but the rates are drastically high, so it's highly unlikely that you miss pulling for the specific base character during your 180 summons. Because of this new summoning system, you can be in between one of the 3 following scenarios, where you could spend 120, 180, or 240 tickets to awaken a character. The first scenario is if you are really lucky, you can pull all 5 stones within 120 tickets, where you get 2 evolution stones from the event rewards after 120 pulls, as well as getting an additional 2 evolution stones and 1 awakening stone within 120 pulls. This is highly unlikely, but it is possible to achieve if you manage to have insane luck. The second scenario is using all 180 tickets, where you get 3 evolution stones and 1 awakening stone from the event rewards after 180 pulls, as well as getting 1 evolution stone and 1 awakening stone from activating the 80 stone pity system twice. This will be how the majority of summons will be going down, so everyone will need to have at least 180 black tickets from now on, since it is impossible to get all the awakening materials in under 100 tickets. And the final scenario is if you are really unlucky after using all 180 tickets, you get 2 awakening stones from the 80 stone pity system twice, as well as getting 3 evolution stones and 1 awakening stone from the event rewards after 180 pulls, as well as getting 3 evolution stones and 1 awakening stone from the event rewards after 180 pulls. Since you are missing 1 evolution stone, I would recommend to stop at 180 pulls and wait until the rerun occurs, since you still have a 1 in 3 chance of getting another awakening stone, which in gacha games, you will have to suck it up and wait patiently for an extra 2.5 months. Do keep in mind that this is highly unlikely, but again is possible, so you do want to have a backup plan if this does happen to you. Another way of obtaining SSR Plus characters is through Awaken Wheels, which normally occur every 3 to 4 months or so on the Southeast Asian server. There are a maximum of 160 draws with 100 draws on the first wheel and 60 draws on the second wheel. The issue with this method is that it's super expensive and is far worse than the claw machine. Each ticket used to draw the wheel costs 270 gems each, where you only get 7 buys for every Awaken Wheel. You should only spin if you have 100 tickets. which requires 27,000 gems or 2,600 funds, which is far too expensive, and only the highest of spenders will be getting these heavily restricted units. For most players, black tickets are your top priority for spending your gems on, but after getting all those black tickets, if you really want to, then you can stockpile 7 wheel tickets every time an Awaken Wheel comes out, which using math you'll need to have 14 Awaken Wheels that need to come out by the time you reach 100 tickets. So I really wouldn't recommend doing so, but we'll have to wait and see what the devs plan to do with this feature. SSR Plus characters can also be obtained through the Hero Backup Stick, where you'll be able to get their Awakening Stones instead of their base character. Now I have been told that the devs do not plan to release brand new SSR Plus characters in the backup stick, as they plan to release reruns of important LSSR characters, then reruns of SSR Plus characters soon after. However, I do not fully trust their word on this, as they do have a knack on changing things after telling me that they've changed and listened to the community, which they didn't unfortunately for the next couple of months to come. And finally, you can obtain SSR Plus units from limited time events such as Bakuzan Plus at the beginning of the SSR Plus era. Now I highly recommend to not awaken Bakuzan once you receive all 4 evolution stones and save them for another villain SSR Plus unit to awaken, as Bakuzan is the absolute worst SSR Plus of the lot. I know it will be very tempting to awaken him since he will be very powerful in PvP at the very start of the game, but in the long run there are much better units you should be spending your awakening evolution materials on. So you will kick yourself if you decide to awaken Bakuzan. Unless you're a whale, then you can spend money to make up for those materials. But free to play, do not spend your materials. In order to evolve your characters, it is very simple. After selecting your character, click the character icon, and from there, unlock each of the 4 pictures, which will cost 1 evolution stone each. Then you will be able to awaken your character and gain an additional awaken passive, and it's as simple as that. Once evolving your character, you will be able to keep your base unit, as well as they are 2 separate characters that are able to share the same type of Omni Shards. However, they will not be able to share the same type of limit breaking shards, the same type of keepsakes, and they cannot be in the same team as they are completely separate units, much like the SSR and LSSR variants of units such as ATT or Sonic V2. SSR Plus units will also be able to evolve twice, and you'll be able to unlock their second awakening form, which will only buff their awaken passive. The requirements to awaken to a unit is to have an additional 3 evolution stones and 2 awakening stones. Although there are 4 stats to enhance with your evolution stones, you will only need to upgrade 3 to evolve your unit. So never evolve the defense stat and evolve the attack, HP and speed stats. Then you'll be able to evolve your character with 2 awakening stones. For free to play players, I would advise to not spend more than 180 black tickets during their debut and not pulling for their reruns at all, since you should prioritize getting as many SSR Plus units as possible. However, if you do want to awaken to a character, then you can pull on both for the unit's debut and in their rerun, in order to upgrade their awaken passive. Do keep in mind that you will have to wait an extra 2 months or so for their rerun banner, and the meta might change by then, unless you've saved your monster materials from Bakuzan Plus and plan to awaken to a monster unit, which I do plan to do. I will go over every Awaken 2 passive of every character later on in the year, so you can make up your mind whether or not you want to hoard your resources or not if you want to awaken to a certain character. Now, after all of that, who on earth should you pull for, since there are currently 26 SSR Plus units in the future? So to help with that, this is a quick table on how each SSR Plus unit was released in the Southeast Asian servers. So you can start planning out who to pull for way in advance, as long as they don't rush this era, which I have been told that they aren't, but who really knows what goes on in their heads. Anyways, I will quickly brush over who are definitely the most important units to consider pulling for, which I have split into 3 eras, being the Pre-Geryu, Post-Geryu, and Post-Drive Night era. During the Pre-Geryu era, Carnage Kabuto is definitely a must-have, as his damage reflect is so much stronger, as well as now dealing damage reflect even after his death to 4 enemies, which can be increased to 6 if you have his keepsake. So I would highly recommend to pull for Carnage Kabuto. And Geryu is another must-have who is mandatory since he is a core unit, you need to pull for him. He will be able to grant a special type of unyielding to your allies, which will heavily change the meta, so you definitely need to pull for him. Now Metal Bat is also another must-have unit as he can grant immunity to stun, as well as doing great follow-up damage. However, if you are tight on tickets, you will have to choose between Metal Bat and Atomic Samurai. So in that regard, I will make you decide who to go for if you don't have enough tickets to pull for both of them. Now considering the rest of the units, Child Emperor is a great pull as he can grant immunity to dot debuffs, which is great against force field units such as ATT. So he is a great character, but the 3 that I stated above are much better units to save your tickets for, so I would recommend to skip him. Boros is also a great pull as he can deal 1300% of his attack to a column, which is the highest in terms of pure damage that you'll see for a long time. However, he is more so useful in PvP, so I would also recommend to skip him if you are a free-to-play player. Now Bakuzan is a good pull at the beginning of the SSR Plus era, but once Carnage Kabuto and Boros come out, he'll already be outdated basically, so don't awaken him at all and save your resources. And also to quickly brush over, King is a good pull as he is a speed booster and supporting unit, but he's really only useful in PvP and is obtained via the Awaken Wheel, so I would also highly recommend to skip King, unless you are a PvP whale. During the Post-Geryu Era, Atomic Samurai is a must-have as he can counter Geryu's core by reducing the amount of specialized unyielding that Geryu's core provides. And I would also highly recommend pulling for his keepsake as he will be able to increase everyone's specialized unyielding by 1 state when alongside in Geryu's core. So definitely get Atomic Samurai with Geryu, they work together really well, they synergize amazing together. Deep Sea King is also a must pull. He is a very strong single target attacker which inflicts specialized corrosion, which is a super OP dot buff. He also triggers Breakthrough, which is a new buff that ignores specialized unyielding. And he also stops units inflicted with his corrosion in launching a follow-up attack, where instead he himself and one other in the same column as him will be able to launch their own follow-up attack. He is insanely powerful and you cannot afford to skip him. His Awaken 2 is also really good since he can allow 2 follow-ups per round. So if you manage to save your Bakuzan materials, then I would recommend putting those stones into Deep Sea King in order to awaken to him. Tank Top Master is also another must pull who also triggers Breakthrough and can counter enemy team damage sharing, so he can counter those such as Boros and Goketsu with their minions, sharing the damage that the team takes. He will also be the first hero unit being able to damage reflect as he will be the best hero unit for a really long time. So definitely pull for him, he's the greatest for your hero side for a pretty long time. And last but not least, Drive Knight is a must-have who is mandatory since he is a core unit, you need to pull for him. His core makes all of your units super tanky, as well as his passive being able to trigger Breakthrough on 2 enemies. You definitely need to pull for him as his core can be buffed even further if you have units that increase your block rate, such as Tank Top Vegan, Super Alloy Darkshine Plus, and Melzigard Plus. Now, there are many characters that are also a great pull if you do have enough tickets. Goketsu is an amazing tank that provides team damage sharing, as well as being able to trigger Breakthrough. Then you also have great PvP units such as Flashy Flash and Giro. Flashy Flash is a speed booster that can deal a lot of bonus damage, whereas Giro is a unit that is able to silence 2 enemies, which will disable the use of using their ultimates for 1 round. Both these units are really good, but only whales who are heavily invested in PvP should be pulling for them. Other units such as Phoenix Man and Subterranean King are also great units, but they are unfortunately locked behind the Awaken Wheel. Phoenix Man is a unit that will be able to render an enemy out of battle for 1 round, which will make the enemy unable to attack. And Subterranean King is an AoE attacker that inflicts specialized burn to enemies which can be stacked and transferred across the enemies. These 2 are really good, but I would skip them for better units to come. Now in regards to the last 2, Silverfang and Garo are good pulls, but personally they shouldn't be your top priority if you're saving your black tickets. Silverfang is an AoE attacker who will inflict internal injury and summon Bomb to deal combo follow-up attacks. Garo, on the other hand, is a single target DPS attacker that triggers Breakthrough and does follow-up damage to those with specialized unyielding. If either of them are your favorite characters, then you can go pull for them since they are really good, but I personally wouldn't recommend doing so since they're not really a part of the overall meta. Now finally, during the Post-Geryu Knight era, Metal Knight is a must pull as he inflicts specialized stun to the whole row. It is recommended to also get his keepsake as he can stun an additional enemy, as well as being able to grant all of his allies immunity to both types of corrosion, which is a massive counter to the corrosion meta against Deep Sea King and Gorobas. He's definitely the most important unit to pull for before the release of UR units, who are brand new units that are rolling out in the Chinese servers at the moment and are even more powerful than the SSR Plus units. So make sure you get Metal Knight for that new era, which should take 2 years to come from now. Super Alloy Darkshine is also another must pull unit as he will be able to buff Drive Knight's core much like Tank Top Vegan, as well as granting the whole team specialized damage reflect, which is super OP. He is, however, planned to be locked behind the Awaken Wheel on the Southeast Asian servers, so most players will have to unfortunately skip him, so if that is still the case, you can save your black tickets for the UR era. Now Gorobas is also another must-have unit as he is an AoE attacker that inflicts specialized corrosion to most enemies. He will synergize super well with Deep Sea King as both of their corrosion debuffs can stack onto each other, which will create the corrosion meta until Meta Knight comes out. However, if you are uptight on tickets and have Deep Sea King, then you can skip Gorobas to save for future UR units. Otherwise, if you don't have Deep Sea King or have enough tickets to pull, then definitely get Gorobas. Now the rest of these units are really great pulls, so you can decide to either skip for them to wait for the UR era, or pull for some of them. Melzagard will be able to fully revive your allies up to 4 times per battle, and 6 if you have his keepsake. He's able to trigger Breakthrough and grants immunity against silence to his entire row, as well as stun if he is 5-starred. He also buffs Drive Knight's core, so he is a really good character, especially in PvP situations. Watchdog Man will be the strongest single attacking DPS unit, as he will be able to deal damage by 1950% of his attack, which can be further increased to 2340% of his attack with his keepsake, which is absolutely insane. He also is able to disable all types of follow-up from enemies due to his new paralysis debuff, as well as being very tanky as he will be able to evade attacks. Zombie Man is a speed booster who is able to grant an additional 2 or 3 energy with his encourage buff, like what regular Watchdog Man has. He was initially a must pull unit since his speed boosting capabilities are insane compared to every other speed booster. However, with the new addition of UR Sonic, it will be better to save your tickets for UR Sonic. But unless you want a speed booster for your hero side, then definitely pull for Zombie Man. Puri Prisoner is a back row single target attacker that also renders an enemy out of battle for 1 turn, due to his charm buff. His passive, however, reduces all enemies' dot rate, as well as being able to inflict paralysis to disable follow-up attacks. He is a great unit, but you should focus on getting Metal Knight or Alloy as your top priority. And lastly, Pig God was available for a limited time event in the Southeast Asian servers. He will be able to become super tanky when he is inflicted with specialized unyielding, so he works really well with Geryu's core. He also devours an enemy, which renders them out of the battle for 1 round, which after they are spat out, their specialized unyielding also gets reduced. What also makes him great is that he can also devour an ally and heal them for multiple times, which will make the ally untouchable whilst in his belly. He is a great unit to have if he is still obtainable through a limited time event. So after going through all of these 26 new units, in regards to my current plans on what SSR Plus units I am going to pull for, this is how it currently looks like for the time being. Do note that this is subject to change whether or not they mess around with the timeline on who gets released whenever. But currently I plan to pull for 10 units altogether, with Metal Bat and Atomic Samurai being pulled during their reruns, and Pig God during his event. I also plan to save my Bakuzan Plus materials in order to awaken 2 Deep Sea King, since he will allow extra follow-ups for which I have experienced firsthand on the Southeast Asian servers and is really OP. And I also plan on pulling for 5 keepsakes, being Carnage Kabuto, Atomic Samurai, Deep Sea King, Gorobus, and Metal Knight. Now, I won't be going over everything about the units that I've chosen today, but I will create a 3-part series in the future that will further explain each and every SSR Plus character and whether or not it is worth to either pull for their keepsake or to awaken to them. I will split these videos into the 3 eras that I characterized at the beginning of this segment, which these videos will take a while, so please bear with me, but they should definitely all be released well before the SSR Plus era rolls out. So other than that, that's it for today's video. If you want to stay up to date with everything you need to know about One Punch Man the Strongest, then subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell in order to stay updated on every video I release, in order to make your One Punch Man account the strongest. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a comment down below if you have any questions about my video or possible future content. Until next time!